Welcome to the training on replacing plastic windows for Boler, Scamp, or any other trailer that uses this type of window installation. In this training, you will learn how to remove the old window, choose the next window because there are two types of plastic you can use, and I will explain how to install the rubber, the window, and share some tips that go along with the installation. So let's move on to the first module, choosing the window. Choosing the right glass. Should I go for plexiglass or Lexan? First of all, plexiglass is a brand, and Lexan is also a brand. So which type of glass do I want? Plexiglass is acrylic, Lexan is polycarbonate. Everyone says that Lexan is more impact resistant, and indeed, it is slightly more impact resistant than acrylic. On the other hand, acrylic has much better capabilities than polycarbonate. Acrylic will be much clearer than polycarbonate, which is a bit more milky in clarity. It will also have a slightly bluish tint. Acrylic is much more scratch resistant compared to Lexan or polycarbonate, which scratch much more easily. Polycarbonate cannot be polished, whereas acrylic can be polished and becomes very clear once polished. Acrylic is much more resistant to UV rays and therefore will develop far fewer small cracks over time due to UV exposure compared to polycarbonate. And honestly, I've been making bowlers for 9 years now. And I've always used acrylic windows, and I've never had a client tell me that a window shattered because a rock hit it. And I would say that most bowlers have rock guards, which we call stone guards, that protect the window. And in the back, we understand that stones hitting the rear window. It's quite rare, especially while driving. I've never seen a stone hit the back of a bowler while driving. In short, all this to say that choosing acrylic makes much more sense than choosing polycarbonate. Ultimately, the only thing polycarbonate will offer more is fire resistance and a bit more impact resistance, but acrylic is much better. It makes a lot more sense for a bowler or any type of trailer than this type of window. I think the choice is easy, acrylic. Plus, it's cheaper. It's the best choice. So next module, which tool will I use to remove the old window and install the new one? What tools will I need to remove the old window and install the new one? First, to remove the old window, a good old knife with a new blade, of course. But a knife will help. We'll show you what to do with it. After that, we'll need some more specialized tools, like those used by body shop workers, mainly for trim installations. You can check in my online store. You'll find these types of tools for installing rubber and hooks of this kind. Very important. However, the hook must have a rounded tip here. In my online store, I offer this same type of hook, and it is already filed for window installation. So next module, removing the old window. Removing the old window. For this window, there's a lock here. It's like a bead inserted into the rubber. So the first thing to do is to remove this lock. Find the seal. The seal is here. That's where we get it. You pull it this way, and usually it comes off on its own. And there you go. In this case, we have a caulking joint that goes all around the rubber, a sign of aging. So we take a razor blade and make sure to check the blade's direction because one side catches more than the other. So to check which side to avoid damaging the paint, we cut slowly. I prefer a razor blade. I find it easier to handle. Cut the seal this way. And there I take the knife and cut the inner part that is next to it on the glass. This way, which will make it easier to remove the window. And here we see a common problem with windows. For those who install windows, it's that the seal here, because there's always a rubber type seal, isn't glued. And often, this is what causes water infiltration problems, as over time it shrinks and we end up with a crack right where the seal is. This is what causes the window to have a real problem. So, I will show you with the window installation how to ensure that the seal is properly adhered and lasts much longer than this window. There. I can also use a screwdriver to pull. Otherwise, I go inside, place it on top. In my case, since I have a microphone, I do it this way. And then we remove the rubber. Now that the old window is removed and the rubber is taken off, it's time for the installation module. So, I imagine you've already ordered the rubber you need to replace the window on your Boler or Scamp or whatever trailer you have. As you can see, the rubber I sell on my online store comes with a small tube of glue. This is very important because this glue will ensure that your seal, even though it shrinks, will stay bonded together and won't cause water leaks over time. That's something no other rubber supplier offers, the little glue, because they simply don't know. They just sell products. I do the installation, and now I'm giving you the training to do a proper installation. So we're going to install the rubber, and I'll show you my little tips. First of all, the direction of the rubber. Personally, I prefer to have the lock on the inside of the trailer. Why? Because, first of all, the exterior part is smooth, which makes it more visually appealing. That's just my opinion. And having a lock still leaves a crack where water can seep in. Even once locked, it means that water can seep into the cavity and eventually get inside if there's a source that allows water to enter. So we eliminate all chances of water getting in by installing the lock from the inside. That's the first thing. So we start. Place the joint in the center like this. I make sure to center it on the font. The Boler logo goes there. It doesn't have to be within 1/8 of an inch. So we spread the rubber apart and position it. Then we tap it like this to make sure it goes all the way in. It's even more important that it's well seated in the corner, because if the corner isn't properly in place when you try to put the window in, you'll have trouble, especially if the window is more or less well cut. Don't wait until you've put the rubber in before pushing the corners all the way down. It's very important that you push on the rubber and tap it into the corner so that it will be easier when it comes time to cut the joint. So we won't end up with a gap in the center once the points are at the bottom. We don't want that. The material is expensive. We want to avoid having to buy another. And there we knock to make sure it's in place. I will finish my corner and then tell you what I think about it. This trailer has already been painted, and as you can see, it's not quite the same as the one that was used, and we end up with a nice white line all around. That's why it's very important to remove all the windows before doing a restoration and paint job on a Boler. This ensures that if we need to do maintenance, like removing the rubber in a few years or in 20 years, the rubber might not be exactly the same. Despite the fact that the rubber isn't the same, if it was painted up to the edge of the fiberglass, there wouldn't be any difference. In this case, they left the windows in place. They painted the trailer with the windows in place. And now we have this problem once the new rubber is installed. The only way to fix this problem is to apply a black sealant joint to hide the white edge and make the finish uniform. Nothing is irreparable, but it will take a bit more time to solve this issue. Here, we are at the point where the joint is. The right way to cut the joint. Where to cut the joint is more the question. Many people will cut it so that it ends up flush, so that when they cut it, it really ends up perfectly flush. I prefer to leave about a 1/4 inch extra, which will allow for some play over time as the rubber shrinks. But it will allow the rubber to shrink and prevent it from pulling at the joint where it's cut. You can cut it with a knife or use these special PVC pipe cutters, which work wonderfully for cutting rubber. So I make my mark with my tool. And I come. It's very important to cut straight, not crooked, because when you install it, the glue won't stick well. So you lift the rubber a little bit, spread it apart like this, and reposition the rubber. As you can see, the rubber settles into place on its own. So, like this, you test it, make sure everything works well, and there are no gaps. If there's any issue, you had trouble. But now you can trim a little bit, not too much, because we don't want to remove the extra we added for the rubber's retraction. So correct it and then retest. For me, everything is good. So what I'm going to do is take the glue. I'll leave it in place. I'll use the framing to use as a guide. For the glue, I'm having a bit of trouble with my glue. The end is well glued. Ah, okay. And the glue I'm using is specifically made for bonding rubber. Now, I'm going to apply it all over the outer part. And a little bit on the inside, but not too much, because I don't want to stick the lock. And now I'm going to do what I did earlier, the rubber in place. So my rubber is, and now I'm ready to install the window. So next module, installing the window. We are now at the module for installing the glass into the rubber. I assume you took the time to order the window from our online store. So you notice that on our online store, we ask for the measurements of your existing trailer window. Now that it's done and sent, we have the size for you. So you can really see that we offer exceptional service. Here's a little tip to help you install your window into the rubber. Sand the edge of the window with 80 grit sandpaper and a block to round off the corners. This will make it much easier to fit the rubber into the window and, most importantly, prevent the rubber from getting cut when it passes through to the other side. So, come with me. Another important thing. It's true. Before coming inside to install the window, don't forget to sand it first. Leave the protective film on while sanding. Once that's done, remove the protective film and then proceed with the installation. I'll go ahead and remove the protective film on both sides, and I'll see you inside to install the window. So, the next step for the window installation is to lubricate the rubber edges. So the inner cavity here and the inner cavity here where the lock will fit. What do I use to lubricate it? I would say there are two ways to do it. It's water with a lot of soap in it, or you're gonna laugh. But good old lubricant for everyone. Yes, I discovered that it really helps with a proper installation. It slides well and is water-based. It's not like petroleum-based Vaseline, and it really does the job. So once the rubber is well lubricated, we proceed with the window installation. Watch closely how it's done. The advantage of having a plastic window is that you can press it. We start by inserting the window. On one side, we make sure it's well aligned, and then we fold the window so I can insert it on the other side. Now there's a gap here. I can pass my hand through. This is where the small hook comes into play. So we align the window, pass the hook through, and then turn it like this. We pass it through, we turn it, and then we come. Place the rubber in its spot. We work on it. Take the time to properly position the hook, do it halfway, and then we do the other part underneath, which is parallel to the one we already inserted to prevent the window from slipping and coming off. We do the part underneath. It's still not an easy job. Once it's well lubricated, sometimes it goes smoothly. Too much. You can use the end on the other side to help position it if it gets stuck. And now we have about half of the bottom done as well. The idea is to continue with the other half and then finish the top half. I just passed the joint. As you place the first lip, the first rubber lip, you can push on the window. I'm pushing with my arm right now. There you go. We insert the hook to finish the top part. And there you go. The window is now in place. The other part, which is a bit of a hassle, is installing the lock. So what I use are these two types of spatulas. One is curved with a 45-degree angle that I use to get into the slot. And there's a small lip, a little notch on it. The other lip there that creates the lock, and I insert the flat spatula into it. Then I work it to push it in. And now we use the tools to keep it in place. I'll give you a close-up. Let's zoom in a bit. Insert the 45 and push. Insert the 45 and push. Insert the 45 and push. The lubricant definitely helps. So, once the lock is installed, there might be some spots that aren't perfect. The next step, and we see that the window is pushed too far outward, especially the corners. Now we're going to adjust the corners. Come with me. We're going outside. We're going to adjust the corners. After that, we'll finish around the joint on the outside. We can see the rubber is sticking out too much, so we push it back. We go to the corner, we just push it into place like this. We push it like this. So that the corner goes in without too much trouble. And there you go. And there you go. Everything is in place. We check that there are no gaps. And there you go. So once the corners are done, we can go inside. And after that, we place the lock, making sure it's clean all around. Then we place the lips to ensure a nice appearance. This ensures that it is understood that with time, everything will fall into place. The curtains are there, so don't go crazy either. We understand each other. But it's always good to make things look nice in what we do. That's good. That's good. It's also... Okay, that's perfect. And the next step is to clean the windows. When you clean the window, the first step is to use a clean cloth, ideally a new one. I have a microfiber cloth, so we remove the tag because we don't want any tags. We need to make sure the window doesn't get scratched, as dust could cause that. So we dampen it properly. And now we clean all of that. I'm not afraid to use some elbow grease because if you don't put enough and you rub when there's not enough, the dust can scratch the window. And on a new window, we don't want that. Once it's wiped, we turn it to the dry side. Now, it's not a big deal. There's less stuff, but there's also less dust. So, now we're going to do the outside. Same thing on the exterior. We stock up a lot. I take the part that is already wet and already dirty. I make sure there are no particles inside that could scratch the window. It does the same thing, but it also cleans. All the excess lubricant, since it's a water-based lubricant, will dry up inside. We'll go to the dry side. Very important. I used a window cleaner. So you don't have to use mine, which is actually in my online store, but it's important to use a real cleaner. The window is installed, the window is cleaned. We just need to take off with our trailer and use it first. I strongly advise you to take a good hose and water it for at least half an hour. Find a way to hang your hose so that it creates a rain effect for at least half an hour, and check every 15 minutes to make sure there are no leaks. If you do find any leaks, it could be caused by a window that is too large. So, the window you measured might not have the correct dimensions. This often results in the corners not fitting well into the shell. The two parts don't come together properly. The corner is too long, causing the window to always stay slightly outside, which can lead to leaks. In that case, we remove the window. It's a hassle, but we remove the window. Then we retrim the window and reinstall everything. I hope you don't have to do it because it's a pain to redo it twice. It could happen that a badly damaged shell prevents the joint from fitting properly, so at that point, you should apply a caulking joint on the outside. It can make a difference. So we use the 3M 4200 UV caulking and make a nice seal all around. We can also make a seal all around the inside. This way we're sure that water won't get in, but usually with a new seal, you're not supposed to do any caulking around it. In this case, I won't have a choice but to make one because we can see some white and the goal is to make it disappear. So, I'll make a black joint to cover the white. But in this case, if you want to know how to make joints, I invite you to purchase my training. Installing sealant joints, and you'll have all the techniques to make beautiful joints. With that, I wish you good luck with your window installation, and I hope everything goes well. If you have any questions, you can join the VIP group, and at that point, I can answer your questions. Hi. If you enjoyed this training video, please subscribe to this page if you haven't already done so. Give it a thumbs up and share it with as many people as you think it could help. I also warmly invite you to visit my online shop where you can easily buy the products you truly need to safely do the work on your caravan. And also, I would like to propose that you go take a look at my page on my online shop where all of my training courses are listed. I also have several paid training programs that are considerably more technical, including, for example, the 4-step polishing of a travel trailer with an original gel coat finish, or if you prefer, an automotive paint finish. On that note, we'll see each other in the next video, gang. Bye.